first, fast, accurate. You're watching WSBT-22 News at 5:30.
You know, you might not necessarily think of Indiana as a hotbed for earthquakes, really, but they have been known to happen here.
Now, today, nearly 700,000 kids took part in the Great Central U.S. Shakeout. And that's an earthquake drill to teach students earthquake safety and awareness. WSBT-22's Patrick Roth is here. And Patrick, there actually have been some big earthquakes here in the past.
Yeah, Rick, Indiana actually sits close to two major seismic zones. There's the Wabash Valley zone in the southwestern part of the state, and there's also the New Madrid zone. And even though it's unlikely a major earthquake will hit here anytime soon, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Good morning, Grissom Middle School. Please excuse this announcement, but we are going to participate along with millions of other people across the world today for the 2015 Great Shakeout Drill.
More than 3 million students across the Midwest took part in the Great Central Shakeout earthquake drill. And that might seem odd at first because the Midwest is not exactly known for having a lot of earthquakes, but they have happened.
The thing about the Midwest is it's made out of relatively solid bedrock, so the earthquake waves travel much further than, say, in California.
That means that an earthquake that starts all the way up in northern Michigan can be felt here in South Bend. That's actually exactly what happened earlier this spring when South Bend felt the rumble of a 4.2 earthquake that started way up near Galesburg.
Feels kind of like if you're in your car and a semi drives by and the wind buffets the car, similar to that. If you're in a quiet room with china or something where it can rattle, you feel that.
While a 4.2 magnitude earthquake won't really cause a lot of damage, there have been larger ones in the past. Last big one that Mark Watts, a geologist at Penn High School, remembers was back in the 80s by Evansville.
But it felt like there was a kid jumping up and down on the bumper of my car. And I'm looking around going, where's those kids? And that was the last one that was probably felt over a really large area.
And the largest earthquake ever in the U.S. happened on the New Madrid Fault, which is close to Indiana.
Probably less than 5% in the next 50 years for one that would do a lot of damage. Not a large chance at all, but there's always a probability.
Now, the Great Shakeout today was only in the Midwest, although it's part of a larger national movement. And Indiana actually had the most students participate out of the 14 states that took part today. Nearly 40 million people will be taking part in this across the country later on.
Okay, so you mentioned one of the biggest earthquakes happen on the, well, some people say Madrid or Madrid Fault.
I'm from Chicago. I say Madrid.
Yeah.
You know.
How often do those big quakes actually hit?
Well, it's hard to tell. The big earthquake was actually a series of earthquakes that happened back in 1812 and 1811. So it's hard to predict exactly how often these will happen because those smaller quakes that you can use to predict, they don't happen that often. So it's harder for scientists to predict, but they say about every 500 years or so.
Yeah. All right, Patrick, thank you.